Okay. Again, welcome everybody. Now we'll go back to the background checks. Thank you everybody for doing your background checks. The only thing I want to call out here is the volunteer check. So if most of you aren't aware, no parent is allowed to step on the field or go in the dugout unless they have been cleared by the Massachusetts Corey program. How do you know that if they've been cleared? So there is a link here, and I will send this slide deck out afterwards. This link here to approved volunteers list. That is a page on the TAYBS website. It has everybody's name on it that has been cleared. If a parent tries to step on the field that has not been cleared, do not let them on the field. It is extremely a no-no. So make sure that they're on the approved list before you let them on the field. Nobody gets removed from the list as the season goes on, unless it's something that major. But once you find that someone's cleared, you can let them on.
Come out.
Parents,
Everyone's going to go to be there at 6. Yeah.
Corey, I just muted you unless you were trying to say something. So unmute if you need to. Um, for if so parents are going to be told at the parents meeting on Monday that they need to make sure that they get cleared before they're allowed to step on the field. They are not allowed to step on the field even if they're cleared unless you ask them to. So if a parent just decides to walk on the field and wants to help and you didn't ask them, tell them beat it, go away, and unless you ask them for help. So it's in your hands. I'm going to move on unless I hear anybody saying anything different.
I think it's about last night.
What was that?
Last night.
I'm going to mute that person. All right, field access and security cameras. Just for awareness, both of our fields, everything at Spalding, everything at Craven, there are cameras all over the place. These are security cameras. They look for all sorts of things. Specifically, they're looking for people going on the field when they shouldn't be on there. It's looking for animals going on the field. If it sees animals, it's going to go alarm. The big thing to note about the cameras is they are in sheds. They are in snack shacks. Do not let your players change in any of these buildings. We had some issues where people were letting the kids like, oh, go change your pants in the snack shack. No one's in there. Don't let that happen. So there are cameras in there. So we want to make sure that everyone's changing at home and not at the field. All right, I'm going to move on. Player commitment. This is an important one for everyone to be aware of. And this is really for our competitive divisions. This is minors and up. So spring season is a competitive season, and this is a team sport. Everyone needs to be there at the practices and games in order for the team to succeed. This means players are expected to attend all practices. Players are expected to attend all games. Team sizes are small. We could have to forfeit in some cases. So really stress with your parents, attendance is mandatory. One of the things that we won't ask of you as coaches is to make accommodations for a child that's playing in another league. We've had this in the past where, oh, my kid's pitching for another program, you've got to follow the restrictions, and we can't do that. I won't ask you to do that. So you got to do what's right for this team. For those of you, so the last one here is a note about AAU or club teams. So we are a town rec program. A lot of our teams have kids that play travel ball or club ball. They still are just like all the other players on the team. They should be attending all of the practices. They should be attending all of the games. When these kids don't attend, then we have the 5 rec kids show up to practice and they've got no one to play with. So it does a disservice if those kids don't show up. So please stress to your parents that have AAU kids or club teams that our practices are not second rate to the other stuff. We are just as important for all of our kids. So please make sure you try to have them show up. Moving along. Uniforms. So right now, the uniforms, we expect that these aren't going to be delivered till just a couple of days before the season starts. We will have a pickup day somewhere, probably 3 or 4 days before the season starts. This is always a last minute thing. The couple of big things to note here. When you hand out the uniforms, you will get a list. Here's the player's name. Here's the size that they ordered. That's what you give the player. Though if they say, well, I like this size better or this doesn't fit me well, if that's what the parent ordered, that's what the kid gets. After all the kids get it, if they want to horse trade them and the parents are okay with it, so be it. That's totally fine. But make sure you give them what they ordered, because if they ordered a small for their child and that kid is really a medium and that small doesn't fit, we got to order another one. It's going to cost the parent money. It's going to, and it might not even get here in time. It will likely take 2 to 3, 4 weeks. Sometimes might not even make it by the end of the season. So it's important that they get what they ordered. Um, the last thing that I just want to note here is the pants color. We are still white pants with black piping. So that means we don't change pants more than once every 5 years. Okay. So every 5 years, we will look at changing it. And then when this 5 years is done, we will very likely be going back to black. Um, but we won't change it more frequently because we don't want to make parents keep buying more and more pants. So that's not fair to the parents. That's why we won't change it more than that. On that same note, last year we had a bunch of teams that on their own said, "Hey, we're going to do black pants anyway," and all of our parents agreed to it. Sounds great in theory, but here's what happened last year. A whole bunch of parents reached out to us in the league and said, I didn't want to say anything and make my kids stand out again. I didn't want to tell the coaches. I didn't want to tell the other parents that I couldn't afford it. So they struggled to go buy more stuff because the team made a decision to do that. Don't put parents that are having financial hardships in that position that they're struggling, because they all bought what we told them to buy when they signed up for the league. So please don't go out on your own and try to do stuff like that. You'll parents. I know a lot of parents want black pants versus white, and I get that, but there are other considerations more than just what the parents that can afford it want. Moving along. Calendar raffle. We're going to have these handed. I will probably be making rounds as you start your practices and drop off these. I will hand them all to one of the coaches will get the raffle tickets. When you get them in, hand them all out to the players' parents, not to the players. Give them out. And then when the parents go ahead and sell all their calendar raffles, they return them to the snack shack. They can hand them to you. Don't ever take any money from a parent regarding calendar raffles. They already paid for them. They're all covered. You don't need to do anything with collecting money or anything like that. So don't even worry about it. The tickets have to be turned in by the end of June. Anybody doesn't turn them in, there's no refunds or any of that fun stuff for it. So they're already paid for. So just hand them out, call it a day. Team ice creams. So the ice cream factory here in Townsend shut down this year, which is pretty sad for the league. We had a really, really good relationship with them. But whereas we would hand out coupons for every team to just go have team ice creams. Well, now that the ice cream factory doesn't exist, we don't have that option anymore. We're trying to work out new programs, but it hasn't been successful yet. So that doesn't mean we don't want you to go take your kids out for ice cream. All we're asking is that you just pay for it up front and then email us a copy of the receipt to our billing address, and our treasurer will get a check sent out to you right away to cover your costs up to $50. So basically it's the same as last year, just you have to front it. If you're in a situation where you can't front it, that's okay. Reach out to me and I will meet you at the ice cream stand and I will pay for it and get reimbursed for it. I'll meet you there with your team and take care of it so that you guys don't have to worry about it. So just keep me in the loop if you need help. It's not a big deal. I live 5 minutes from Cherry Hill, so I can meet you there pretty easily. Moving on. Regional leagues mandatory coaches meetings. These are for rookies and up. If you are rookies or up baseball, you are part of the Macintosh Regional Baseball League. If you are softball rookies and up, you're part of the NCMS Softball League. Each one of those are regional leagues that are not TAYBS. They are the leagues that handle all the rules and the schedules and everything of how we play our competitive program against other towns. These are the dates and the times. If you haven't already, you will get Zoom invites for those meetings. All right, All-Stars in Cal Ripken. For the first part of this is the All-Stars, both the MAC League and NCMS League. That means rookies and up have All-Star games. These are not Cal Ripken All-Stars. These are the regional town-based rec league All-Star games. So that means that the players that you select for these All-Star games are not necessarily your top 3 players. So that means the coach's kid, the assistant coach's kid who are probably the 2 best players on the team, are not the 2 that should likely get picked for this. Make your own determination why you pick kids. So sometimes, yes, it can be talent. It can be player who's shown the most improvement, players who put in the most effort, whatever unique criteria you come up with, whatever kid won this challenge, or whatever you want to make that determination. So I do ask, if you are going to select your own child, make sure you have a good reason for it and you explain to your parents why your child was picked over theirs. If you Just be careful on it, because it always brings up, fun complaints from parents so explain your criteria and why the kids that got selected. And then you'll be fine. Um, so, go ahead. Nope. Okay. So for MAC League, the All-Star Games will happen on Saturday, June 21st. Softball NCMS will be on June 22nd. All the NCMS softball games are going to be in Templeton. For the MAC League, there are different towns depending on which division you're in. We will be hosting the Majors A division this year at Craven on Saturday night. We might even have Rookies North as well. Outside of the recreational All-Star game, there's also the Cal Ripken Tournament. This is your traditional All-Star program. This is so Townsend Ashby, in combination with Pepperell, formed the North Middlesex All-Star team. And for the baseball division, we create 8. This year we're doing 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U, and 12U teams. This is where you hear about, hey, the Babe Ruth World Series. That's this tournament. So there's districts, states, regionals, and World Series, depending on how far you go. All the information on the dates of all those things are here on this link. This is something kids need to try out for. So we will hold tryouts for kids that want to get on those teams. That isn't selected by individual coaches. So the best kids will go in and be part of those North Middlesex teams. And then, unfortunately, on the softball side, we don't participate in the Babe Ruth Softball World Series tournament. Not because we don't really want to. It's local towns, and the only people that go into that tournament are actually club teams, and town programs get absolutely demolished. So none of the local towns submit teams into that tournament. We've thought about it, we've considered it, but at this point in time, we're not quite ready to do that. Playoff schedules. MAC League and NCMS League, they're in sync this year, so they're the exact same time. Regular season is April 28th through June 8th, followed by the playoffs, which is going to last 2 weeks from June 9th to June 20th. Things to be important. Tell your parents this now. If you're in one of these programs, when those playoffs are. Vacations are always a problem. End of year school events are a problem. And then the other one that I want to note here, the regional leagues are not going to make playoff exceptions for AAU and club ball. So make sure, if you know kids and you have kids that are playing AAU or travel ball, that you tell them those kids are locked up for that 2-week period. Because you could have a championship game on the same day as an AAU or club tournament. And that would be really sad if the kids couldn't make their playoff games because of that. So tell them, we already know the dates, tell them now and let them know so they can block that stuff off on their schedules. Rules. So all of our leagues are based on the Babe Ruth official rules, and both MAC League and NCMS League have rules on top of that that significantly change the game. So I last year I heard people like, "Oh, well, this rule isn't baseball." Well, we don't go by baseball rules, we go by MAC rules. So make sure you read and get very comfortable and familiar with the rules of the league and the division that you're playing on. Both of these links here will bring you to the rules for those regional programs and the rules associated with that league. So it's really, really important you understand those rules. That you'll find those rules for rookie and up, all the way from rookie all the way to juniors, for what the rules are. T-ball, very different. We'll talk about T-ball later. Um, let's see. Notes that here. So we had this happen for a few years. You can't change rules that you don't agree with. So one of the rules that we've had is like good example is rookies. In the rookie program, half the year is coach pitch. The second half is kid pitch. Rookie coaches, that means you need to make sure working on your players so that they can pitch the second half of the season. We had a coach a couple of years back that said, well, I'm not doing that. My kids are not going to pitch, and wouldn't do it, um, which is against the rules, and that coach isn't here anymore. So follow the rules. They're there. They've been agreed to by all the regional programs, the leagues, everything. So the other part, we see this sometimes at the field. A couple of coaches will get to a field at their pre-game conference. They'll go, hey, we don't like this rule. Let's just play it this way, this game. Be careful doing that. We had a situation last year where coaches did exactly that. And then the coach at the end of it went back to the main league and said, hey, this rule wasn't followed. And it was a big fight because our coach said, no, we made an agreement. And that coach said, no, we didn't. And he won. So because you got to follow the actual written rules of the league. So just something to be cautious on. All right, Craven Field, some specific rules about Craven Field. So no players are allowed in the front row in front of the dugouts. So we've had kids get hit by the balls here and get seriously hurt. There are now chains that are up and now padlocked. So don't let the kids go around the chains. We're not going to be taking them down anymore. So try to keep the kids out of that row. No players are allowed on the field when on deck, regardless of what any regional rules say. So don't let the kids on the field until they're up to bat. They have to stay outside of the field. Okay? The gate next to the dugouts has to be closed during play. The reason for this is because the gates open the wrong way. They open up in a way that if a player is running from home to first, if they go off to the side for some reason, they will run right into a gate. So make sure they're closed during the thing. So last thing just on this, league officials, myself as well, we show up to a lot of games, and if we see kids doing these things and we will say something to the kids. Don't make us be the bad guys because you don't like or want to enforce the safety rules. They are there. They have to be followed. Please do that. All right, gates and sheds. I'm going to keep this one simple. Make sure all the gates are closed at all times. If we're low on any supplies, let us know. Spalding Field, if you're going to use the vehicle gate for any reason, make sure you lock it immediately. The big thing that two things I want to make a good note here. At Spalding, do not let anybody park in front of that vehicle gate right on Eastman Street. That is for emergency vehicle access only. So an ambulance has to be able to get onto the field. If a police officer drives by and sees you parked there, you're going to get towed. So don't let anybody park there. And the last one, all of the sheds and the dumpsters now have a padlock with a physical key on it. No more combo locks. In order to get the physical key, you need to go to the snack shack, punch in the combo lock there, go in and get the physical key, go unlock it, and return the key. The reason we had to change this is because way too many kids got the codes from wherever they got them, and they were opening up in the sheds and taking stuff out and causing problems. So The dumpsters also have the padlock on it. So if you need to throw something out, you need to get the key to unlock the padlock. It's the same key for both the sheds and the padlock. The other note on that, don't copy the key. The key is it's going to be here. It's got a GPS tag on it. Don't let it leave the field. Don't copy it. We don't want to have that problem. So snack shacks, same as it was last year. Every parent has to do 5.5 hours in the snack shack or one of our other volunteer or other available shifts. They don't have to work on their child's game. They can work on a different one if they so choose. We'll be publishing that schedule as soon as the game schedules are published. If someone doesn't show up for their shift, they are going to get charged $75. So if they didn't buy out of it and they don't show up for it and they were scheduled, they will get charged. So if you don't see somebody in there, poke them. So as a thank you for all of our coaches, our coaches don't have that requirement for their kids on that team. So you will get a waiver for your kid for that you're coaching. So you won't have to do the 5.5 hours. We figured the amount of hours you put in coaching is more than enough to cover this requirement. All right, moving on. Pitcher Day, Hit-a-thon. It's going to be Saturday, March 17th. You are expected to be there and participate in the team pitcher and be part of the Hit-a-thon. Coaches, you should be wearing your coach's shirt that you will get at when you get your uniforms and your team hat. Please make sure you're wearing your team hat and not something else, your coach's shirt, not something else. Please stress with your families that all of the players should be there. People that pay for team pictures want to get a picture with all of their teammates in it. It's kind of an important memory for a lot of kids. So if kids aren't showing up for whatever reason, it kind of diminishes that picture. So you, as the coaches, you'll be pitching to your own kids during the hit-a-thon. And what we do is you basically each kid gets 10 reasonable throws. Sometimes we say take a couple extra. It's pretty flexible there. We will hold awards immediately after your team finishes batting. And the juniors and seniors teams, instead of doing the distance hitting, they will do a home run derby at the end of the day. And just heads up, Snack Shack will be open all day, food, TA gear, all that fun stuff. Practice and game day responsibilities, all that fun stuff. You need to make sure, as the coach, that the Snack Shack's open and there's someone in there. Before the game starts, make sure the field is in good and safe playing conditions. If you see anything that's no good, if it's wet, try to take care of it the best you can. We have bags of Play Safe in all of the sheds. These cost about $25 a piece now, so don't use more than one per game. They're not sand. Don't go use 12 bags because you got a puddle you're trying to get rid of. Go use another way to do that. We have sponges. We've got all sorts of stuff to help get rid of water. Use the Play Safe or quick dry for hit and run type things. For rookies and up, baselines and batter boxes should be lined prior to all the games. T-ball, you don't have to do that for your weekly games, but I usually recommend doing it for like opening day and maybe the closing games. So you're welcome to do it more than that, but it's not really necessary. The big one, at the end of every game in practice, all the base paths, home area, pitcher's mound, they have to be raked and the infield dirt must be dragged. Very, very important. You also need to make sure the dugouts are cleaned out, trash is emptied into the dumpsters. Last year we came into the dugouts and loaded up with trash. Grab the dumpster, the barrel, go throw it into the dumpster. Keep an eye out on the field conditions. If you see growth or grass start growing on the infield, this guy right here, this is called a hula hoe. You take that, you just push it in front of it, pull it, pops it right out in 2 seconds. If you spend 5 minutes during the end of a game going through and looking for that stuff, we'll all be better off at the end of the year. So for minors and above, home team pays the umpires. You will get money to be able to pay the umpires, and you will get game balls for rookies and up. You will get game balls for across the board. Field cleanup again, I'm not going to go into it. The only thing I want to note here is when you drag and rake, make sure you go all the way to the grass line. Last year, for some reason, teams decided to only drag half the field and forget like the other 25 feet of the infield. Go all the way to the grass line. It's extremely important. That's how we keep the weeds away. And then the other note here, this year TABS doesn't have anybody managing the facilities. There is no facilities manager. That means if you see something, please try help us out and fix it. Ask if, hey, whatever you do, if you see something broken, feel free to help any way you can. You don't have to, you know, if you see something broken, fix it if you can. If you see something that needs to be picked up, pick it up, do whatever you can to help. We really appreciate it. Because like I said, we don't have anybody that stepped up to be facility manager for this year. Batting cage. We only have one. It's at Craven Field. We do not currently have a pitching machine. It was destroyed because people didn't cover it and left everything out. So right now it's just a batting cage that you can use for soft toss. We will be trying to buy a new pitching machine at some point, but it's not in the current forecast. If you use the batting cage, keep it clean and make sure you close the gate when you are done with it. If you don't close the gate at the batting cage, geese love to go in it and use it as a toilet. So please make sure you close the gate so that we keep the animals out of there. Hitting and defenses backstops. We don't allow this anywhere. At no point should you ever have a kid taking soft toss practice into a fence. It destroys the fences. If you look at Craven Field, all the fences have this huge hump in them now because of kids hitting soft toss into the fences. It's going to cost us about 15 grand to fix that. So don't let them soft toss it. Spalding, brand new fences a year ago. Please don't, they're not destroyed yet. Don't do anything in there to hit against those fences. It's way too expensive to recover from that. All right, scheduling. For baseball, everything goes on the MAC site. Softball, everything goes on the NCMS site. Those are the master system for games. When you have to make changes, you'll update both your regional site and your TABE site whenever you have a problem you have to do. You have to add a game, make sure it goes to both. If you don't put it on the TABE site, the parents won't get notified. So if you have to cancel something, it's got to be done in both places. Let's see, not a whole lot here. Again, I'm going to send this out so you guys can read it on your own. Only Craven Field and Spalding Field are available for practices and games, other than the juniors and seniors division, who will use the North Middlesex High School field. And schedule your practices on weekends. So I know I sent it out in email, but 1 day a week, 1 day on the weekend is the best way you can handle getting your practice schedules in. Team websites. As I mentioned, we have a TABE site, the MAC site, and the NCMS site. For both the TABE site and the MAC site, they're both using Crossbar. You need to make sure you accept the invite to your team. If you haven't already, you've probably got text messages from me today poking you to get that done. If you haven't done it already, please hit those accept buttons because that's the only way your name shows up as a coach for your team. And when you set up the privacy, it's one of the options. Make sure you leave it public so that the parents and coaches can see and contact you. New for this year, well, we did it over summer and fall, but this is the first big season that we're going to be using a signer. This is how we handle all of our umpire assignments. All the coaches in minors level and above should set up an account on a signer. This is how you will see who your umpires are. This is how you will cancel umpires, how you can get new umpires. Anything you need to do with umpires is all going to be handled on this site. Best way to handle it, it's all automatic, and it should be pretty self-explanatory. Feel free to go through. If you run into any problems using this, let me know, and we'll get you all squared away. You won't have to add your initial games will not have to be added in here. I will bulk upload all the games, but if you make changes, those will need to be updated and managed by coaches. All right. For everybody, anybody that's in minors and above, you are required to use Game Changer. So this is not optional. This is how you do scoring for games. It is an electronic game scoring system. Um, there is no paper books anymore. We don't hand them out. We don't use them. And the reason you have to use the Game Changer is because we do need to track pitch counts across the board. The best way to keep track of pitch counts is to use Game Changer. So I recommend finding a reliable parent that understands technology. Let them be the dedicated person in order to do your Game Changer. You can do it yourself while you coach. I did it. It's not easy. It's a little bit challenging to try to coach and do Game Changer at the same time, but it can be done. But if you can find a parent that's willing to do it, definitely get them to do it. But again, minors and up, it is a required, it is free. So, and it's kind of cool. You know, it lets you broadcast your games. It lets you broadcast videos of your games if you want. You can do live streams and all sorts of cool things. And, you know, parents love this app because if they're not able to make their kids games, they can watch it live on the stream, and if you're not video streaming, they can view the game cast. It's a very cool tool. I definitely recommend y'all get used to it quicker sooner than later. All right, game cancellations. So big thing to note, games aren't canceled more than 2 hours before the schedule starts. So if you have a 6 o'clock game start, your game cannot be canceled before 4 p.m. So even though you're like, yeah, it's going to rain tonight, nope, you don't make the call until 4 p.m. at the earliest. Okay. And the reason for that is because the weather here changes on a dime. We've seen it completely pouring at noon, thinking you're having a complete wipeout, and the forecast says pouring rain all day and it's bright and sunny by 5 o'clock. So that's why we put the 2 hour restriction in there. Um, so that's really the only thing I'm going to put in here. You can read the rest of it on your own. A note for T-ball. The T-ball coaches, you do not need to cancel your games for weather. The league will make the decision and will make a global cancellation for all T-ball games. So you don't have to do anything if there's bad weather. We'll take care of it. Very important slide. Interacting with umpires. We've lost many, many good umpires because of poor behavior of our coaches and kids. Regardless of league rules, we don't allow protests of any decision made by an umpire at the field. It is 100% against league policy to say anything to an umpire regarding a call they made. This includes yelling at an umpire, yelling about a call, but not at the umpire. So this means you get pissed off, turn your back to the umpire, start walking away, and keep screaming and yelling. Don't do that. Few things to note here. If it doesn't matter if an umpire makes a bad call. They called it, it sucks, it's final. It doesn't matter if you have a video evidence that the umpire made a bad call. It doesn't matter. They made the call, it's final. It doesn't matter if it's a junior umpire that's only 12 years old. If they made the call, it's final. It doesn't matter if the umpire didn't know the right rule and you have the book in your hand and said, no, no, you don't know the rule. Here's the rule. If they made the call, that's what it is. After the call is made, show them the rule, tell them what the correct call should have been, so they make the correct call next time. It doesn't matter. So, you know, what I've always told my players is if a pitcher takes the ball and rolls it to home plate on the ground and the umpire calls it a strike, it's a strike. So that's how I taught my players to not worry about what the umpire is calling. The last thing to note, every umpire has their own strike zone, and many of them widen their strike zones depending on the division or even the pitcher, or sometimes even the batter. We hope for consistency, but in the end, the umpires are going to do what they're going to do. Sometimes the strike zone is from knees to shoulder. Sometimes it's from your toes to your head. Every umpire is different, and they're all good, and they change their mind all the time. It's a crappy situation, especially if you've got good players that expect it to be in the traditional strike zone. And if it comes outside of that and they still get called a strike, unfortunately, it's still a strike. It's really tough for better players, but just remember this is a rec program and they're trying to do the best thing for all the kids. So not ideal, but it is what we have to deal with. So just be understanding of these umpires. Um, Umpire communication, I've already talked about this. I'm not going to go through it again. Umpire policy, this is posted on our website. It's basically saying how when you're going to owe the umpire the money. If the one thing I want to note here, if you cancel the game within an hour of game time and the umpire was not told, you still need, and you cancel within an hour and the umpire goes to the field, you got to go to the field and give them and pay them. So keep that in mind. Um, so weather and lightning, this one's important. Again, the 2 hour rule. For minors and above, games are going to be played in light to moderate rain. We play in the spring in New England. It rains a lot. So if it's raining, that doesn't mean the game is canceled. It means unless it's pouring and lightning, the game is on. So keep that in mind when you're trying to figure when parents ask, is the game on? It's sprinkling out. They're playing. It's raining. We're playing. So always keep that in mind that games get played in the rain. Um, if there's a lightning strike, it's a 15-minute pause. The thing to remember is a lightning strike pause is not a game cancellation. Make sure you tell your parents it's a pause. You have to be back here in 15 minutes. We've seen in the past where parents go, oh, there was a lightning strike. They take their kids, they go home. Then when the 15 minutes is done, your team is under your 8-player minimum and you actually have to forfeit the game. So it's happened. So make sure you tell your parents don't leave if there's a lightning strike. All right, game results. Make sure you post your game results on the Mac or the NCMS websites within 24 hours, preferably the night of the game. The sooner you do that, the better. If you have any pictures or game recaps you want us to post it on social media, send them to results@taybs.org and we'll get that posted up and give the kids some publicity. Player coach interaction. So we've seen this become harder and harder over the years. So it's important that as a coach, you don't accept any social media requests from your players. If they send you a Facebook friend request from a child, don't accept it. Do not have one-to-one text messages with your players directly. Always include the parents in a group chat. If a player wants a ride, make very well certain you speak to the parent and get their permission in writing a text before you transport their child. Very important. If you're in majors and below, all communication should go through parents. You shouldn't even be talking directly to the kids outside of the field. In juniors and seniors, it's okay to start communicating directly to the players as a group with the parents. This is how the high school sports are handled. So the sooner the kids and parents start to understand, the better. So just keep that in mind. The online video game requests, be careful with that one. I've seen that a lot in the past couple of years where I talk to a coach, like, oh yeah, I play, MLB The Show with some of my players. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's how we get in trouble. So avoid anything like that with the players. Who do you contact if you need help? There's all the names and numbers. So feel free to reach out to anybody there. I'm not going to read through it. Things to ask before you reach out to people. Make sure you have the contact information saved. Send a text message. Ask yourself before you send the text message, am I asking the right person? Is the information already posted? Did you read the rules already? Are you trying to book a practice? Did you already look at the guide that I sent out? If you ask for the shed code 4 times in the same week, I'm not going to respond anymore. But every time you get to the field, write it down. All the snack shacks have the same code. It's 4533. We might change it before the season. I doubt it at this point, but don't forget it. Some recommendations. So I suggest everybody, if you have not already, send out a welcome email to your parents as soon as you can. Introduce yourself to the players, the parents, say who you are. The way you do this, just go to the TAYBS website, go to your team, and just post a message on the wall. It will get emailed to all the parents. I do recommend you have an introductory parents or team meeting to review your team plan. You can do it virtually. You can do it at the field. It's a recommendation, not a requirement. Make sure you stress with your parents the commitment level for practices and games. Make sure you talk to them about the size of your team and how important it is. If your minor's above, go get game changers. Start practicing it, learning it. Take your teams out for ice cream. If you plan an end of season party with your team, great place for T-ball and rookie coaches to hand out trophies. So plan those with your players. It's a great thing to do. And then last, try to do things with your players outside of the field. Go out for pizza, go to the movies, go to the Red Sox game, go to the Woo Sox game, go to teammates' other events. I always laugh because I took some of my older kids to one of the players on our team was in a high school play. We took our entire team, surprised him, and showed up at his high school and watched his play all in uniform. It was just a really cool event for the kid to see all of his teammates show up to support him like that. Doing stuff like that really helps build team, camaraderie. I recommend it whenever you can. Jess, I'm going to hand this one off to you to talk about the Boyd Family Fund real quick.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. So this is the Matt Boyd Family Fund. Matt was a player of mine for many years, best friend of my son's, and unfortunately passed away in 2021 after a very short battle with cancer. He had been diagnosed in January and passed away in October. Matt was not necessarily what you would think of as a typical athlete in the sense of always going out and being that number one player, but he had the spirit and he loved baseball immensely. And every season he worked really hard and he actually developed into a great pitcher and surprised a lot of people because you wouldn't expect it. Again, he loved baseball. He was the ultimate teammate. And Matt's parents just want to keep sharing the love of baseball with other kids. So they've created this fund so that if there's any kid in our communities for the towns in Ashby that wants to play, but for some reason there might be a financial difficulty, they want to help support that kid. They don't want to see any kid unable to play. If they can help them, they want to be able to help them. So you can just write a little brief thing here. We've got an email address that you can send it to. And they're happy to do what they can to help those kids play, whether it's one of your kids, your family members, or if you happen to see someone that needs assistance. If you notice that there's a player on your team that's doesn't got a glove that's worthy, or they need new cleats or something, or you just recognize there's difficulty, reach out through that email and the boys will do what they can to help out. They've already helped a few families I'm aware of.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Jess. All right. We're going to hand it off to Matt Hagar, our coaching director, who's going to talk about some more about the philosophies of the league. Matt?
Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Matt Hager. I'm the coach of the juniors team. So we're just going to make this brief. We're not going to go through every single bullet point. We're just going to go through the critical ones here. So TAYBS believes that the practices are critical to the baseball and softball experience and to the success of our players. We firmly believe that all coaches, rookie and up, should have a minimum of 2 practices per week whenever possible. So make sure we really want the kids out there practicing, rookie and up, 2 times per week. Make sure your practices are fun. We have had complaints in the past that the practices get boring and that the kids do the same thing over and over again. Use each other, lean on each other, get drills from each other, get games from each other. You can always reach out to Keith. You can reach out to me. Anyone on the board can help you, but mix it up. Don't do the same thing every day. Obviously don't yell at a kid for their performance. Obviously they're all trying their best. When they come in from the inning or the at bat, that's when you can pull them over to the side and talk to them. We don't want to see anyone punishing a kid for making a mistake. There's a difference between punishing and correcting. You shouldn't be singling kids out. And we get, I don't know, Keith, jump in here, but maybe 5 to 10 emails every year of this coach singled my kid out, made him run or made her run for missing a ground ball. Just don't do it. If you think that they're not focused, if anyone's ever coached with me, I have what we call focus running. And that's when they're getting silly. Everyone takes a lap. And then we come back, we go back to the drill. That's fine. But you cannot single someone out and make them run, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever it is for missing a ground ball, fly ball, whatever it is. Okay? When it's a behavioral issue or a safety issue, sure, you can definitely correct it. You can definitely raise your voice. That's a good time to raise your voice. All right, moving on. Keith, do I have control? All right.
Just say when you want me to move the slide.
Okay. So beyond rookies, teaching fundamentals and skills should be done during practices and not during games. Separate yourself as a practice coach and a game coach. So during practices, that's when we're doing all our correcting. That's when we're doing all of our, practicing skills. It doesn't help if you tell Johnny that he needs to get lower on his ground ball after the ball's already been hit to him. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't help him. It just makes him second guess what's going on. So yes, Johnny might miss the ball, but correct during practice, play during play. Okay. Make sure you're a model for all the players and parents. Coaches should show good behavior when dealing with umpires and coaches and parents. Keith already touched upon this, and I am guilty just like everyone else. Remember, the umpires are human. You're not getting MLB officials. You are getting mostly guys that are looking to make some spare cash, and they're looking to ump their game and get out of there. So you're not getting the best of the best. Deal with it. Have fun. Move on. Okay? Remember, the number one goal is to have fun while we're doing this. Keith, you can go to the next one. So at the different levels, playing time, T-ball, everyone plays. Rookies, all players should have equal playing time. We want all the rookies to try pitching. So unless Johnny says, I don't want to pitch, and he's very adamant about that, and you can't, say, hey, just try it, see if you like it. If he still says no, don't push. But we want all the kids to try pitching and catching as well, as long as it's safe, right? If you have someone who can't play catching is not the spot for them right away. Maybe later in the season, but let's not put them back there right away. Minors, you should have pretty equal playing time, I would say. This is when you're going to start to separate, the more playing time goes to the kids that are showing up, putting in the work, the better players. This is kind of that. Majors, this is when you really start to separate, playing time should start to favor the kids putting in the most effort. Players by rule must play in the field at least 6 defensive outs. All players should try catching and pitching in games. This one, if you have don't ever try and force someone to do something. If they're adamant about not catching, don't force the issue. But if someone does come to you and say, hey, I want to try catching, let them try. Pick a game, let them try. Doesn't have to be the whole game. It can be an inning. It can be 2 innings, whatever you decide, but let them try. Juniors and seniors, we're going to try and put the best competitive team out there. So at this point, they all know where they're probably playing, but we do give opportunities to try things, even if they haven't done it a lot previously. Okay, Keith, you can go next. T-ball, just have fun, make it fun for them. All we want to see out of T-ball is that they return for their next season. If you can have them understand where first base is and run the bases the correct way, then you're ahead of the game. Feel free to do anything that you think will be fun. I coach T-ball as well. At the end of the year, I have all the parents blow up or fill up water balloons, I should say, and we just basically they pelt the coaches with water balloons and we throw them back at each other and they hit them off the tee. You can do anything you want like that. Just make sure it's fun. Okay. This one, like I said, make sure you're not forcing them. Have patience. If you're a T-ball coach, really have patience. Okay. So that's T-ball. Go ahead, Keith. Make sure you're following these pitcher and catcher guidelines. If you have a dual player, so dual player meaning that they are pitching, they are a pitcher and a catcher. They should have at least 2 innings per game where they're not doing both. Okay? So if Johnny is your best pitcher and he's also your best catcher, pick one for that game. Or have him start the game pitching, have him start the game catching, then put him in the field for a little bit, and then put him in the other one. They need a break. You can't go pitch, 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 catch, catch, catch. Okay? You do have to do some planning accordingly with this. So there are no, well, he only pitched 35 pitches. He feels fine. He could go X number of innings. Nope. This is the rule right here. This is the chart right here. This is what you have to follow. There are no other options. Okay. Keith, you want to add anything to that?
No, the only thing to probably add, one, this is only baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Softball uses innings, not pitch counts. And then and this is minors and up, not rookies or below. And then at the end of your game, when you put in the scores on the max site, you also have to add the pitch counts in there as well.
Okay.
And that's new for this year. So the pitch counts we didn't track last year on the max site. This year they will be tracked on the max site. Good enough?
Yep. So these are just a few resources that you can go to. Dugout Captain's really good. And then you can always reach out to me for drills, any sort of, I don't know, if you need a game or something, you can always reach out to me or we have other avenues to get you help, but you just have to ask. So we have people who are really, really qualified in pitching. And if you tell me you're struggling with pitching and it's something, I can't help you with, we'll get you the right, contact information and we'll get you someone who can help you. And that's both, softball or baseball. So we do have resources. Just make sure you're reaching out if you need to. Just to piggyback on what Keith had said, please, please, please try and find a parent to do the game changer. Nothing drives me crazier than watching a coach buried in their phone trying to figure out game changer while the play is going on and the kids are looking at them. What are we doing here in this situation? Just really try and find a parent. Usually you can find at least one. Really try to find that, please. Go ahead, Keith. So we didn't put this in there, but all baseball coaches, rookie through juniors, there will be a mandatory pitching clinic for you guys to attend. So at least the head coach will have to be there. We don't have the date set yet. I'm working with Gary and Mark Arsenault to get that done, but it'll be a mandatory clinic. And it's not us teaching you per se how to pitch, but how to teach it. Anyone can go on YouTube and watch a video, but teaching it, making corrections is a different thing. So this year we're going to have a mandatory pitching clinic that all head coaches must attend. Okay.
Just to piggyback, the reason we're doing that is we're seeing more and more only certain kids get the pitching. We want to see as many kids learn how to pitch and pitch correctly, because by the time we're getting kids into our juniors and seniors programs, we're ending up with 15 kids and none of them have pitched before. So we really want to get more kids involved pitching, and that requires getting our coaches to really understand what that means and how to do it properly.
Any questions so far that maybe I didn't cover that you guys have questions on? Okay. So the equipment is listed right here. You're going to get practice baseball, softballs, duffel bag, catcher's gear, med kit, game balls, raffle tickets, umpire money you'll get at a different time, but we don't provide bats and helmets. Make sure your kids have a helmet. That's one of the things that they definitely have to get. Bat, they should have. Most kids are willing to share, but make sure, they have something. T-ball, all your gear is in the shed. We don't have to, they still have to get a bat and helmet, but all the baseballs for T-ball are in the shed, all the bases, all the stuff we need is over there at Spalding. Make sure you don't take anything with you. So if there's a pop-up net that is in one of the sheds, please do not take that to your away game or take it with you to your daughter or son's AAU game so they can practice. Make sure that stuff stays in the shed. Okay? If you're using it before a game to warm up, as soon as you're done, right before your game, go put it back in the shed. Okay? All T-balls in the shed. Make sure you don't take the T-balls with you. Leave them there. They should go back in the red or yellow buckets at the end of the night. That's pretty much it. Go ahead, Keith. All right, so I'm going to be handing out equipment this Sunday. So you can ideally 10 to 11. My son has a AAU tournament I got to go to. So try and meet me down at Craven between 10 and 11. And I'll pass you out your equipment, all the baseballs you're getting, all the catcher's gear, whatever it is. I try and go by the size of the child. So if you have a taller kid, let's say you're in rookies and you have a really tall kid who wants to catch, the shin guards I'm probably giving you aren't going to be big enough. Just tell me and I'll make sure that you get the right size. So don't be afraid to ask for gear. We can always swap things. If something breaks during the season, don't try and figure it out on your own with paper clips and rubber bands. Just call me. We'll get you a new set of whatever it is you need. What's that? Assume gear is not pick. Yes, so T-ball doesn't have to pick up any gear. Okay. Just rookies and up. Game balls, 2 per game. So make sure you're getting those foul balls. Last year we went through a pretty decent number. I don't think we really went too high on it. We were pretty good about it, but make sure you're asking the kids to go chase those foul balls, obviously within reason. If it goes, at Craven, if it goes in the neighbor's yard and you can see it, try and get it. But if it goes into the woods there where it's poison ivy bound, leave it alone. We'll get a new one. Okay. 36 practice balls, 12 game balls, and a minimum 32 balls at the end of the season. Yes. So obviously, I am not expecting every single baseball back. However, I can't have, and this has happened in the past, and don't be that guy or girl who hands me 12 balls back. Because I'm probably going to wonder where the other 36 went. Okay. Don't build a stockpile at home. Don't say, oh, I'm coaching next year. I'm going to keep my bucket. Oh, I'm coaching the fall. I'm going to keep my bucket. No, just return it. We'll get you new stuff for each season you're going to coach. I have to go through all this stuff and keep track. And it gets very difficult to do that if everyone's keeping everything. Okay. Keith, anything you want to add to it?
Nope, you got that one right there. So,
and clean out your bag before you give it back to me this year. I don't need like shirts and socks and cleats and whatever else was in those bags. Just dump it out and hand me the stuff back, please. Okay.
there's been some bags that get returned with some really nasty ass stuff.
Yeah.
Don't make us be your parents. Clean out the bags before you hand them in, please. It's pretty disgusting, some of the stuff we've seen.
All good on that, Keith. Shared equipment, pitching machines, pitching targets, swing away, batting tees, cones, anything on this list. Make sure you return it. Don't keep it. Go ahead, Keith. If you need something, just ask. Assuming the price is reasonable, the league will purchase anything to help you. That's true. Last year, we had a couple people reach out to me and they wanted certain things, and I just brought them up to the board, and I think every single one of them got approved. I don't assume it's too expensive. I'd rather you ask and me have to say that's too much for this year. Maybe it's something we can put as a capital project for next year, but at least you put it on my radar. And we'll get you what you need. Okay. So any equipment that's purchased, pay for the league, reimbursed you, comes league property, must be returned at the end of the season. Yeah. So if you buy anything for the league, make sure you submit the receipt, get the reimbursement, but it's going to become part of the league's equipment. Don't turn around the next year and say, oh, I bought that, whatever it was, and expect to get it back. We're going to reimburse you if you use your own money. Okay? Everyone clear on that? All right. That's it for me.
Very talkative crowd tonight.
Hey, let's get through this.
There you go. Jess, tag, you're it.
All right. I'm going to try and be as quick as possible, but there are some very important things we have to cover to get through the insurance policies. So go. The goal is just to remember that you're the adult here. You're going to have some very, very young kids and some older kids, stubborn kids. Anytime there's an injury, you just have to remember you have the adult. Try and be calm and reasonable. Some people might be stubborn and think they're not injured, but you have to make sure you make contact with a parent or a guardian and make them aware of any possible injuries. Sometimes it may not be a serious injury, but they feel it is. That doesn't matter. You still have to care for the kid and look out for them. Anytime there might not be a parent or guardian around and it could be a serious injury, don't hesitate to call 911. That's what we're there for. The dispatcher will help you until the ambulance arrives on scene. Any injury or incident, you should be notifying Keith and myself so that we can be aware and follow up with the parents and find out what's going on afterwards. Let's see. Be aware if any of your kids have any pre-existing medical conditions. This isn't saying that you have rights over those kids, but it doesn't hurt when you send out those initial emails to your team to ask if there's anything you need to be aware of to be paying attention to your child. someone has allergies, asthma, diabetes, let them know you're going to be responsible for their child. You want to make sure you're aware of something that might go wrong, so you're better to care for them if needed. If you have anyone that tells you about a condition with one of your players and you're unsure on how to handle it, you can always reach out to me if you need any advice or suggestions on what to be thinking with them. Um, Keep in mind that the kids are going to be learning at this age on how to be healthy and to go forward. Warm-up routines are great. You want to prevent injuries, especially as the kids get older, because you don't want them spraining their arms, getting sore arms halfway through the season. Practice those healthy attitudes. Warm-ups, taking care of their body, drinking water when the heat gets going. Common sense maybe, but it is easy to forget those things sometimes in the moment of the day. Good. So these are our emergency response kit. This is not the safety kit that you'll have as a coach, but this is something that we keep in each of the sheds or the snack shacks at the field in case it's an extremely serious injury that might happen. Each response kit has Band-Aids, of course, sterile gauze, sterile cling, rubber gloves, medical tape, tourniquets, emergency blanket, ice packs, a flexible splint, and a compression bandage. Those other items that you may not be familiar with have directions on them on how to use. The splint, obviously, for any possible fracture of a bone in the arm or a leg. They're like those old slap bracelets. They will form a straight board to keep that arm splinted. Then those compression bandages, again, that's if you have a serious bleed or a tourniquet, there are directions on them. But that is like, you cannot stop the bleeding if it's a very, very serious bleed. Luckily, we haven't had to use it as far as I'm aware, but it's one of those things that I want them available. Heaven forbid we ever were to need them. It would be a shame to not have them available.
If just for note, if anybody does end up using anything in these particular kits, which are in the snack shacks, let us know.
Absolutely.
So just let us know if you use anything in these kits.
Absolutely.
Good
All
job.
right, we can go ahead. So again, I mentioned a little bit pre-existing medical conditions, allergies. If you have any kids that are allergic to bees, nuts, it's a good idea to know if they have an EpiPen and if they're going to have the EpiPen on them. If they're going to have an EpiPen on them, things to be aware of when you might need to use that EpiPen. Anaphylaxis, when they are extremely short of breath, having difficulty breathing, wheezing, making funny noises while they breathe. If you see hives all over their body. Again, if you're going to need, or if you're wondering whether you're going to need that EpiPen for an allergic reaction, always call 911 because that EpiPen may not, they can work really quickly, but sometimes you need a second, and you're giving that child a lot of medication. They're going to need to follow up with a doctor. Asthma, again, kind of self-explanatory, but just be aware if you have a player on your team that may get more short of breath or push themselves more than necessary. You want to make sure they get the rest when they need to. Don't hesitate to ask them, do you need to use your inhaler for a moment? Because they might be stubborn. I've had those kids on my team that will keep pushing themselves as well. And you can notice when they're getting short of breath, the way their mouth change, they start pursing their lips. They'll keep pushing themselves, though, because they don't want their friends to notice. Just pull them aside, say, hey, do you need to use an inhaler? And then they should be good to go. But if they're struggling, again, grab a parent. And if it's really bad, don't hesitate to call 911. Good. Nosebleeds, that can happen a lot. Sometimes there can be more than one time in a practice that a kid gets a ball to the nose. That can happen, whether it's being thrown or hit from the bat. There can be quite a few of those. The important thing to remember is you want them to lean forward, not backwards. You don't want them swallowing any of their blood. You've got clean gauze. You want that clean cloth over it. And to hold that pressure at the very top. Don't let go. Hold it. Even if you think it's stopped bleeding, hold it for at least 10 minutes. and then you can see if it stopped bleeding. Fractures and sprains, very difficult to diagnose. If there's any questionable injury, always, recommend for a doctor to evaluate. There are open fractures that could occur where you will see a bone. That is not a minor injury. That's a ambulance ride to the hospital. And anytime there is an obvious, if you see a bone that's going in a direction that you know is not normal, that's why we have our SAM splints. Whenever a bone is not straight anymore, that's what we got the SAM splints for. And of course, they're going to need x-rays and follow up with a doctor. We've got ice packs. We sometimes purchase more multiple times throughout the season. That and lollipops, if you've got T-ballers, are probably the most effective ways to help a child feel better, unfortunately. But that can help for any sprains, minor injuries. But again, always make sure a parent's aware of any possible injury and follow up if necessary. Lacerations. So these are the tourniquets and the compression gauzes that we have in those kits for the heavy, heavy, heavy serious injuries. These are lacerations that are very deep and severe bleeding. Minor ones, we've got the Band-Aids, but sometimes you might need gauze with tape because really you're out there playing. Band-Aids may not stay on. Don't be hesitant if you ever, hopefully not, but if you ever have that serious, serious bleed that's not going to stop, to go ahead and pull out that tourniquet. And you can call 911. They can coach you on how to use that tourniquet. Don't be afraid to. We've learned that tourniquets, you don't have to be worried about cutting off circulation and losing a limb of whatever. We're very close to hospitals. The child is going to get to a hospital pretty quickly, and you're not going to have that tourniquet on for multiple hours. And again, you'll see that compression bandage there has directions on how to use it. So don't try to go, oh my gosh, I've never used this. Just look at the pictures and follow it. You'll be good. Well, let's not have to use them.
Good plan.
All right. Other things to be aware of: heat exhaustion, heat stroke. You're not going to have to know the exact, is this exhaustion, is this heat stroke? Just be aware if it's one of those hot days, you want to keep the kids hydrated, and just be aware of the signs and symptoms to be looking at. If the kids are not behaving well, if they're complaining of dizziness, nausea, headaches, if these symptoms are really obviously significant, then you got to be careful and make sure the kid gets treated. You don't want them to end up passing out or suffering from these type of scenarios. Just be aware of the possibilities. All right. So, all right, concussion. This is a big thing that we have to cover. Ideally, all of us would be going through and having you guys sign up for a concussion training course through the CDC or whatever. I've basically done that multiple times, and I've tried to put everything into this couple slides. So we have to have this concussion policy for our insurance policy. Our concussion policy is going to stay in line with Massachusetts as best as it can. If you have any player suspected of any sort of head concussion or injury, and this may include the neck, okay, you should remove this athlete from play for a minimum of 24 hours. Advise athletes responsible both of the medical evaluation is recommended. Notification of this injury should be sent to the league, Keith, and myself as soon as possible. After 24 hours, symptom-free as far as you know, the player can return to play. Now, if you've got a game at 6 o'clock, the injury happens at 7 o'clock, let's realize that tomorrow they're not playing, okay? But this is not to punish the player. Concussions for our kids can be very serious, and they can last and have symptoms for a long time. So the sooner that we can pull them from those activities so that they can heal, the quicker they will heal. So again, if you suspect a concussion or a head injury, remove them from play. If another player comes up to you and says, hey, did you notice that Johnny got hit with the ball and he's acting a little funny? That's enough information for you to say, hey, come on over, let's talk, and possibly remove them from play. Again, it's not punishment, it's for their safety. So, a concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head that can change the way your brain normally works. It truly is. We know we hear about football players, but it can actually really be bad for kids as well. Those first concussions, if you end up with a second and third, it's all spiraling. So you need to treat it seriously. Even a ding, or getting your bell rung, or what seems to be a small bump, mild bump, or blow to the head can be serious. Here are the signs and symptoms to look at. I think you can all see them: confusion, forgetful, dazed, stunned, um, vomiting, difficult to arouse. But they're just not acting right. They're sluggish, they're slow. These are all important things to be paying attention to, okay? So again, why it's serious, the long-term risks. Some athletes might experience persistent concussion symptoms, including issues with behavior and mood and memory. Kids truly can have their personality changed from a concussion. That's children, young children. Their personalities can change from one concussion. Their developing brains may be more sensitive to the effects of one or multiple concussions. Returning to sports before they've recovered can increase the risk of complications or repeat concussions and persisting symptoms. Parents, coaches, and athletes don't get to make decisions about the return to sports after a possible concussion. Only their doctor and their providers can do that. Yes, as coaches here, we are a private league. We are not cleared to force parents to share with us doctor's notes. We have to trust that their parent has gotten them evaluated appropriately. And if they're willing, they can share notes with us. If they're willing, they can tell us that their child is clear. If you've heard that they're staying out of school because they still have a headache or their doctor told them, then they still have symptoms. Okay. And unfortunately, don't put them in. Don't play them. It's for their best outcomes. 66% of high school athletes played through their sports-related concussions because they did not want to be removed from play. Again, we're the adults. We have to make the right call for their safety. Oh, sorry, I just changed my screen. They were fearful of approaching their coach and concerned about a lack of recognition by coaches, athletes, and parents. You guys are all going to be great coaches, have great relationships with your players, and they're not going to be afraid to come up to you and share this information, hopefully, with you. So our plan: stop the play of activity, remove the athlete, make sure their guardians and parents are aware. Do your best to write down what happened and any symptoms you might have seen. This is good for Keith and myself, but also for if the parent to take to their doctor's office or the hospital and say, this is what happened immediately, rather than trying to remember. If they could have a note written down of, hey, this is what happened, and this is how long they may have seemed confused or how quickly they showed these symptoms. If you're able to write that down, that is great. And this is what normally happens in high school. This is what's required for, other official teams. We're just doing our best to keep our players safe. And we want them to return, and we want them to return safely. Next. So this is just another version of the signs and symptoms you can be looking for, and action plans to keep available. If I have an opportunity, I'd like to have these printed off and posted in the snack shack, so you just have a quick reference if you ever needed it. But again, anytime someone's stunned, confused, just acting a little bit different after, of course, a blow to the head, whether it's a ball to the helmet or sliding into a bag, twisting, something funky, any head or neck injury that appeared, those are the things you're looking for. And then their action plan. And you guys can, of course, go to the CDC Heads Up Concussion, and it's a free and a great course, and easy to follow. It's great. Got some great information. All set, Keith? So if you want to take it, it's probably less than 30 minutes now. It's changed over the years, but it's got the same information. They've got some little videos of, okay, if Jane has this happen, what would you do? But it helps you to understand a concussion, the potential consequence of the injury, how to recognize the concussion signs and symptoms, um, learn about these activities and how to stay safe. Again, don't feel like you have to make the decision of if this is a concussion. Reach out to the parents for the guidance and put it on them. Let them know you're concerned. Not that you think or that you're confident, but you're concerned and that you're worried. And based on what you're seeing, your athlete, your player may not be acting normal. For their safety, for tonight, for tomorrow, you don't want them to play to keep them healthy. All right. So AED training is the other portion of our insurance rider. The great thing about AEDs is what it stands for. They're automatic. We have an AED that will be at Craven and an AED at Spalding. Those are the pictures. They're very automatic. They will walk you through how to utilize them. And when you put the pads on, you just hit the button that's on. It tells you what to do. Now, theoretically, we could be teaching you CPR, but we're not. The cool thing about that is, unfortunately, if you have to use an AED, you're calling 911. And again, the dispatcher can coach you through CPR if needed. Anytime you find somebody, and it doesn't have to be a player, it could be a parent, it could be a bystander, someone on the field, something has happened. And if they are not awake and they don't appear to be breathing normal, that's when you would want to utilize the AED. We're not expecting you to check for a pulse or know for sure if they have a pulse. The AED will do that work for you. These are just a couple videos if you want that you could click on that will show you how to utilize them. Again, they are pretty self-explanatory. You turn the button on, it will actually talk to you. You'll put the pads on, and it will assess, tell you to either do CPR or to monitor or to press for shock. All right. We're good for the. So Keith, do you think you are able to click this pediatric video? I don't know if you'd be able to share it if you were.
Yeah, I tested it earlier. It'll show it, but you won't hear the audio.
Okay. So there are a few different links and videos in here. If you are going to only watch one versus the others, I would recommend this pediatric one. It just shows you that basically anyone can use an AED and how easy it is, no matter what brand. It shows you the way it would. And I would not post a video if it was a very long video. So it might be 3 minutes or less. So there's a couple different videos here. Cardiac arrest victims who received a shock from AEDs in the public or by a bystander have a 2.6 times higher odds of survival to hospital discharge and 2.73 times more favorable outcomes for functioning compared to victims who first received an AED shock after emergency responders arrived. So, I mean, this is just awesome. Again, this was when I first became a, part of the board many years ago. Obviously, we didn't have an AED. And this was just something that really was important to me. Not that we had a need, we don't want to have a need, but it would just be a really terrifying thing to have something bad happen to one of our fields and know that we could have had an AED there. So again, these make a huge difference in survival and what we call returning to normal life functions for anyone that might have an emergency that requires one. And it's great that bystanders can do this within probably less than 3 minutes of someone going down. Again, they're going to be in both snack shacks at the fields. Let's see. All right, we can go ahead and move forward. Face mask, this is more back during COVID time. Obviously, there are no rules right now where players have to wear face masks. But there is always some concern of COVID or flu. So if you ever have a player or a family member that asks to uses it, obviously it's their right. Don't shame them. People have reasons to wear them, whether to keep themselves safe or other family members at home safe when there might be illnesses going around and spreading in group activities. If they wear a mask, just, make sure that they don't have any breathing issues on their own while they're running the bases. Again, I don't think we've seen anyone wear a mask in years, but we're good. Sorry, my boys are playing baseball. Sega. Yeah, nice. Thanks, hon.
Sorry.
Next. Yeah, we're gonna have medical kits for everyone. The medical kits always have band-aids, gauze, ice packs again are the most popular. I don't give you most likely all of the ice packs that you will need in your first aid kit, but there will always be extra ice packs in the snack shacks when you run out. But the important thing is you have to tell me when you run out or when the ice packs at the sheds are running low. Um, every season, somehow we run low, and no one has mentioned that there's only 2 left or 5 left. And if I've not notified of this, we can't purchase more. If you need anything, or if you found that there is something that you think you need, just reach out to me. My cell phone was on that contact sheet in the beginning that Keith shared, and as well as my email. You can always text that cell phone, and I'm happy to help. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Anybody have any questions for Jess? All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with some league updates for everybody, and let's get going. Quick update on Spalding. So we have some projects that we're working on Spalding for this year. This year our plan is to put in new picnic tables, new bleachers, and some more fencing on field 2. Next year we're hoping to get field 1 done up more, adding some more scoreboards, some fencing, and remove that old shed that's sitting over here on Route 2, field 2. In the future, we really want to get batting cages and lights over there, but that's a longer term plan. Last fall, we did add fencing from all the way down here and up and around here. We're looking to add more fencing to this part, maybe this summer. If you've driven by the fields, you'll notice that all this area in here now has all been demolished, and so now we've got flat regrind all there. This is a great place now where people can park. So parking was definitely challenging last year, especially at some of our bigger events. All right, just real quick, what is TAYBS? So we are a private 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We are not funded in any way from Townsend or Ashby or any other government entity. We are 100% self-fund. We are a 100% volunteer-run organization. There's nobody that gets paid salaries. There's no stock. There's no stipends. There's no bonuses. We do it because we love it. We want to give the kids the best experience we can. A few notes: we are not a government, a town, or a federal organization, which means we are not bound by the Open Meeting Law or the Freedom of Information Act for public transparency. However, if you have any questions or you're interested in any information, just ask. We're always more than happy to share anything about how the league runs behind the scenes. Also note, we are an independent youth sports organization. As such, we are not bound to Little League, Babe Ruth, USA Baseball, USA Softball, or any other sports governing body that dictates how we operate our organization. In the past, we've had people call Babe Ruth and say, we don't like how this league is running, and we basically tell you to off. We don't have to follow those rules, and we basically make our rules determining on how we feel is the best interest of the league. All right. Moving on, here are our current board of directors. These are all the people that are trying to make this happen for you guys. We have a few new faces this year. Max Dibble is our new treasurer, and Dave Davis has stepped up to be our director of softball this year. If you notice, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open positions on our board. We would love for anybody to join the board and help us. We try really hard to do as much as we can, but we are very short-staffed, and we could really use anybody's help that's willing to offer it. So if you want to help or want to know more information about any of these positions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to give you more information. A little bit of player history or player registration details. I'm not going to go through obviously the thing, but thing to note for baseball for this year, we are sitting at 150 registrations. Our third straight year of going down by 1. So we're on a slight decline on the baseball side. The big note is that we did a little bit of a hit on the T-ball side. So we're hoping to get a little bit more before the season starts to get that back up and running. Softball, on the other hand, we took a huge hit this year. The numbers have dropped. We have some very tight teams across the softball program. So there's a bunch of different reasons for that. Big chunk of that came from some of the high school waivers that kicked in this year that our league fought against that we did not win. Moving on. So I show this because I want everyone to understand, what do we spend our money on? So understand, here are all of our operating expenses, everything that we spend money on every year. So every year our expenses to run our program is just about $75,000. To put that in perspective, when parents register, that brings in $31,765. That's a net loss of 43 grand. That's a big net loss right out of the gate. So how do we make that up? Combination of fundraising, donors, and sponsorships. So when you hear us asking about, hey, we've got this event to help raise some money, we've got our hit-a-thon, we're doing a cornhole tournament this year. The reason we do these things is because we got to make up 42 grand and then add money to actually be able to improve our program. So our sponsors are down this year, our registrations are down this year, so our numbers are not where we want. So some of the different things, our calendar raffle, our concession. So you can see all the different ways that we're going to try to generate revenue on our own this year. Some of these things will come in higher, some of them will come in lower. These are just kind of our estimates of what we think we're going to get to. If we get to these estimates, that gives us about $11,000 to work with for capital expenses. Now, we thought we were going to be at about 35 to 40 grand here, so we're about 30 grand less than we expected. The big thing to note here, that means TAYBS charges our parents on average $150, but it cost us on average per player $361. So I've heard parents complain in the past of, this program is so expensive. Well, what they're paying doesn't even cover half the cost of what it costs for that kid to play in the program. So something to keep in mind as a coach, what those numbers mean. So at the end of this, we have 11 grand here. What do we do with that? Every year we spend all of our money. We put every cent we make back into the program. So let's talk about what we did last year. Last year, our major project. Last year, we spent almost $44,000 in capital projects. We replaced the mound at Craven. We did infield repairs. We added picnic tables. We replaced the audio system. Over at Spalding, we added tons more fencing. We added the parking area. We added scoreboard. We did work on a scoreboard. We seeded the field. We did upgrades inside the snack shack. So a ton of work last year. What are our plans for this year? Well, we had planned about 27,000 worth of projects. Now we're only estimating about 11 grand that we have in the bank. So we'll see. We'll hope that things come in a little bit higher so we can get some of these things. But what were we doing over at Craven? We're going to be, we already did it. The tree removal project already kicked off because we wanted that done before the season started. So we spent about $10,000 removing trees over at Craven. So it's a lot brighter over there. So hopefully we can get some games a little bit later into the evening. And we're probably going to spend about $1 grand doing a coach dedication. So for those who don't know, Coach Tom Lamoureux, who was part of our program and coached for our league for 45 years, finally retired at the end of last season. This year we are going to do a dedication for him because I can't even imagine. He was 80 years. He's 80 years old at this point, and he was coaching last year. So, and he wasn't phoning it in either. He was out on the field hitting the balls to the kids. I mean, Tom is an amazing coach, an amazing person, and we can't wait to do the dedication for him. We're going to try to do that on opening day for our Majors A team. We're going to do something. We're likely dedicating one of the dugouts in his name. Over at Spalding, we got a lot of things we want to do. Hopefully the money comes in. We were planning on putting picnic tables in. We're replacing those 2 crappy bleachers that are there. We're looking to put windscreens in, adding more fence cap. We want to add in permanent foul lines like we have over at Craven Field. And we were hoping to do some more tree removal there as well. That's what we're looking to do for this year. We'll see how the fundraising goes as the year progresses. So this year for sponsors, we brought in $28,500 in sponsors. These are all of the companies that sponsored us this year. If you need a vendor for something, I always recommend people take a look at this list and use them whenever possible. Tell them that you found it out from TAYBS. TAYBS gives thanks. So what we do every year is if any uniformed military or public safety personnel attend any of our games at Craven or Spalding Field and they just go up to the snack shack in uniform, we will give them a free meal. It's our way of saying thank you to all of our first responders, public safety, and military personnel. Show your TAYBS pride. We have a Squad Locker store with all sorts of gear that's customized for TAYBS. On the website, well, actually this is an old link, but if you go to our current website, you will see a link to Squad Locker, which has all these different things and hundreds of more different items you can purchase that are customized for TAYBS. We have a bunch of different social media aspects. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel, and Twitter. We're on all of them. And that's pretty much about it. Before you leave, please make sure you wrote your name in the chat for Zoom so that I can mark you as credit for attending tonight. So please make sure you do that. That is all I have from the presentation. If anybody has questions, I can take questions. But if not, have a great night, have a great season, and we will see you at the field. But I'm here for questions for as long as anybody wants.
Hey Keith, is there a specific date for T-ball kickoff?
T-ball will kick off on Sunday, June 27th for the teams that are in the Wednesday group, I think. I think that's what it is. And it'll be the 28th for the kids in the other group.
That's April?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah, it's the same start as the older kids' seasons as well. No other questions? Well, that's perfectly fine. You will find me, other board members. We show up at the games a lot. We show up at the field. Feel free to grab us anytime, ask questions. If you have questions for me, feel free to text me, email me. I do my best to try to respond as quick as I can. I'm a little behind on a lot of stuff, but feel free to ping me anytime and I'll help anywhere. If you see me show up at a field, ask questions. That's what I'm there for. So thank you, everybody.
Keith,
Appreciate it.
I got a
we just
question.
remind everyone that we hope to have our Patriot Night, April 23rd.
Yep, April 23rd at
We'll post that. Huh?
April 23rd at Patriot Pizza.
Yep, that's a great time to meet your players, give out things. We'll get the flyers posted soon.
Yep. Sounds like we are good to
Keith,
go.
quick
15 minutes
question.
early. Go ahead, Nate.
Practice time, start and end times. I see people are starting to fill up the calendar in April. Are there specific times we have to stick to?
No,
I see like the weekdays, everybody looks like they're grabbing 5:30, but are the lights on? Can we go later? Sorry, it's a newbie question, but
no, that's totally fine. So there are no lights. So what
got
time
it.
what time you decide to have your practice is totally up to you. We don't dictate the times. But just be aware in April it does
Yep.
get dark earlier than you want. So that's why you'll see a lot of people booking 5 to 7, 5:30 to 7 time frames.
Is there any guidance on overlapping times with other teams, right? Like if you're starting to warm up while somebody else is winding down practice, or is it we're supposed to kind of totally stay out of each other's lane?
If someone's still having a practice, I don't really recommend doing it while someone else has a practice going on. It's you can go like the T-ball area and start a practice while someone else is in the other thing. But if you go to like Craven, you won't be able. get on the field until the other practice is done.
I gotcha.
Remember, at Spalding, we have 3 full-size fields plus the 2 T-ball fields, so you can do
Right.
whatever works for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm going to call it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great season, and we will see you at the fields.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, all.
Thank you.